Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're jumping straight into the absolute tug of war that is defining the AI landscape right now as of June 28th, 2026. We are looking at a world that is fundamentally reshaping itself around artificial intelligence. But let me tell you, it is not a straightforward path. Instead of this smooth, predictable rollout that some expected, what we're actually seeing across the globe is a massive friction point. We have forces slamming the accelerator to the floor and forces desperately trying to pull the emergency brake. Today, we're going to dig strictly into the latest developments across regulation, global finance, and everyday automation to understand exactly what this tension looks like on the ground.
So look at this question. Are we speeding toward unheard of productivity or just unprecedented vulnerability? That right there is the whole crux of this explainer today. It perfectly represents this massive tension between explosive technological adoption and mounting systemic caution. Honestly, everywhere you look right now, from the halls of government to the central banks, all the way down to the apps on your own smartphone, this exact question is what's keeping leaders and economists awake at night. We're simultaneously building the most powerful tools in human history while trying to figure out if our existing societal guardrails can actually handle them. Section 1. Governing Frontier AI Labs. The Government's Balancing Act. Let's see how this tension starts right at the top.
Okay, so the US government is playing this wild game of acting as both the accelerator and the brake. On one hand, they are literally opening the tap. They just greenlit Anthropic's highly powerful Claude Mythos 5 model. What does that mean for us? It means Anthropic can now hand this massive model out to over 100 approved domestic institutions, major corporations, and federal agencies, completely bypassing the need for individual licenses. It's a huge green light. But at the exact same time, they've thrown up a massive stop sign for OpenAI's newly teased GPT 5.6 and Anthropic's absolute bleeding-edge models, forcing them into this strict ad hoc preview vetting. So they're freely opening the tap for specific domestic infrastructure while holding the very edge of the frontier under intense, unformalized scrutiny. What you should really take away from this is that the entire playbook for tech giants has fundamentally shifted. We are no longer in an era where success is just about who has the most raw compute power or the smartest algorithms. The game has changed completely. The dominant strategy for these frontier labs right now is entirely about navigating complex, unwritten government gatekeeping. How these companies manage these unformalized federal approvals will dictate their market share just as much as their actual tech. Moving on to Section 2, Financial Risks of AI, a macroeconomic warning. Because while the government watches the models, the financial world is sweating over the money. To really understand this, we have to look at the BIS. The Bank for International Settlements is basically the central bank for central banks. They monitor the whole global financial system. Well, they just dropped an annual report that is waving a giant red flag about vulnerabilities from unchecked AI investment shocks. Right now, we're witnessing a historic, unprecedented wave of artificial intelligence capital expenditures. Companies are pouring billions upon billions into AI infrastructure. And the BIS is stepping in to ask, wait, is this actually sustainable? Look at how the BIS connects the dots here. It's fascinating. It starts with that unchecked AI capex, these massive investments with huge uncertainty about long-term economic returns. We literally just don't know when or even if these massive investments will truly pay off. And the BIS draws a straight line from that uncertainty right to global inflation and public debt. The sheer scale of this tech boom means that if we see rapid financial shocks or sudden course corrections, it threatens to destabilize pricing globally. It compounds the vulnerabilities of public debt. This shows us exactly why this matters on a massive macroeconomic scale. It's not just about a few tech companies losing some money, it's about the potential to shock the entire global financial system. Which brings us to Section 3, the rise of AI trading. The retail boom. Now, even with all those high-level institutional warnings we just talked about, everyday retail investors are just slamming the gas pedal. FinTech market data is showing this massive, undeniable surge toward autonomous AI bots run by complete novices. Crypto market automation is up an incredible 40% year over year. Stock algorithm usage by regular retail investors up 28%. So while the central banks are urging massive caution, the general public is actively handing the wheel over to AI to automate their personal investments at a rate we have literally never seen before. And the whole secret behind this retail boom really comes down to one single word: millisecond. These new financial platforms are just handing everyday people automated risk tools and millisecond-level data analysis. I mean, let's put that into perspective for a second. Until very recently, that kind of blistering transaction speed was a highly guarded superpower reserved exclusively for Wall Street elites. Now,
It's sitting in the pockets of retail traders. This total democratization of high-frequency AI tools is accelerating the market in ways regulators are still just scrambling to figure out.
All right, Section 4, the polarized economic narrative, optimism versus doomsday.
So you've got central banks panicking and retail traders partying, right? This extreme contrast has totally fractured the public narrative. Media analyses are reporting that we are sharply divided. On one extreme, you have this utopian productivity optimism, people who think generative AI is going to effortlessly scale our output, cure diseases, and do all our busy work. And on the absolute other side, deep, visceral panic. Massive anxieties about wiping out white-collar jobs, and really serious environmental concerns about the grid strain required to keep these data centers running. There is practically zero middle ground right now.
But impartially speaking, economists are actually stepping in to try and talk everyone off the ledge. They're urging us to look past the standard tech sector layoffs, which, can happen in any hype cycle, and keep a broader perspective. Instead of falling into these wild doomsday scenarios, they really want us focusing on crafting balanced, forward-looking policies. It's all about managing the incredible boom of these new capabilities while actually building a responsible, realistic brake pedal. Which leaves us right here with a massive thought to ponder. As AI simultaneously throws our financial markets into hyperdrive and triggers these huge macroeconomic warning bells, are our ad hoc federal brakes actually enough to safely control the boom? We've seen the government trying to quietly gatekeep the top models, and we've seen retail investors embracing automation at light speed. I really want you to think about that tension, because understanding this exact tug-of-war, the race to deploy versus the scramble to control, is absolutely crucial to navigating this whole new world we're stepping into. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.